And welcome on back, everyone, to another episode of Streaming with the Mouse. This is episode 112, where today we'll be talking about the Book of Boba Fett, episode 3, The Streets of Mos Espa. So get ready, and you're in for a doozy. You're listening to Streaming with the Mouse. And welcome on back, everyone, to episode 112 of Streaming with the Mouse. My name is Clifton Paul Robinson, and joining me today, as always, is I don't even know
so disgruntled.
The rainer on our parade. I mean,
yeah,
if it's raining on Tatooine, that's a good thing. Cam, I would say how you're doing today, but I know the answer, so it's not really even.
I'm doing fine. I just hated this episode.
I think so hate's bad. A strong word.
I really did not like this episode.
You're leading towards the dark side. You're going down a path.
I'll say this.
Follow.
We're gonna talk about it. I would still take the worst episode of Boba Fett, which was by far the worst episode of Boba Fett, over anything else because I love Star Wars that much. But holy cow, this stunk, and I'm excited to talk about it. This is gonna be my first rave.
You're excited to talk about it. You really are. You really are getting into the dark side.
I'm always too positive about things, and even when something stinks, I still find ways to find that it's good. And I'm sure I'll find some ways.
It's very impressive.
I love The Last Jedi.
Exactly. You're very good. You're very good at finding good things in the bad. I'll give you that.
The worst part about this so here's the thing. Before we get started, I almost wanted to just end the podcast because we have the podcast. Felt like I had to watch it a second time. So in my head, I was like, if we end Streaming with the Mouse, I just never have to watch that episode again. You know what I mean? So I'd
have to find a replacement. Don't put me through that. Don't put me through that. But before we jump into the episode, Cam's favorite episode in all of Star Wars ever created, there are multiple. Very exciting, some speculation, I'll put in air quotes. The first one that is confirmed, and Cam is a party pooper today. That really is true. Or I should say for this one, Cam is a bah humbug for this one. No. You can defend yourself after.
Fine.
Disney Plus has ordered a Santa Claus TV series starring Tim Allen that will take place. The concept that we have been given is that it is a 65-year-old Scott Calvin, Santa Claus, that is starting to figure out that he might not want to be Santa forever. And it's going to be him debating whether he wants to find his successor and go back to his old life or if he wants to keep doing what he's doing. Cam, I sent him this screenshot and he was like, nice. That's good.
That's not bah humbug. That's like, oh, cool. It's
you.
Cool.
It's you, Cam. That's the thing.
I will believe it's good when I see it. I will absolutely watch it. The Santa Claus is the best Christmas movie of all time. Ever. Santa Claus 1. Santa Claus 2 is okay. Santa Claus 3.
2 is also very good.
It's not as good as 1, but yes.
No, but it's very good.
Santa Claus 3 stinks. So I'm hopeful that they do this right, but Disney has done a couple Christmas things that I thought were just okay. So I'm not like, oh my god, the Santa Claus, it's the return kind of thing. Like, no, I'm not like that like I was for Boba Fett. I'm just not. But I'll watch it. I'm sure I'll enjoy it. Oh, another thing. Oh, we were trying to decide other Christmas things that stunk. Home Alone stunk big time.
I still haven't watched it.
That's another failure on Disney Plus's Christmas thing, which makes me concerned about this one. I am in a mood today.
You are.
Man.
I'm enjoying this. This is just so much fun. We have not been given. I want to see if they updated IMDb yet. Actually. No, I don't think they have. They announced...
If Bernard's not in it, I will riot.
They have only... Well, I mean, he wasn't in the third one, and that's the worst one. So, I mean...
Yes.
I quickly glanced over who the showrunners are. I can't find them right now. But they have not announced writers or anyone yet, and the only casting they have announced so far is Tim Allen. I am quickly scrolling through this. Oh, here we go. Jack Burdett, who created the Allen-led comedy Last Man Standing, will serve as executive producer and showrunner. So someone that has worked with...
So stunk too.
Someone who has worked with Allen. So for everyone saying that Disney canceled Tim Allen when they didn't cast him as Buzz Lightyear, how does it feel to be wrong?
Well, those people are just idiots because they didn't.
Oh,
They
of
thought
course,
the
but it's funny.
Lightyear movie was like the toy, not the man. So
Yeah. We have confirmation on the Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. The trailer came out earlier, as well as promotional stuff. That will be released on Disney Plus. It is a 10-episode animated series debuting on February 23rd.
see, now that's something I'm excited for. I'm happy about that one. I'm excited for that one.
There you go. Oh, I did watch.
Also, the Cam is back.
There you go. The Cam. It's yeah. I watched Encanto. I loved it.
I love.
We won't talk about
Encanto.
Bruno though.
We will. I refuse to talk about Bruno. Refuse.
Pixar staff reported extremely disappointed in Turning Red moving to Disney Plus.
We kind of figured that. I'd be kind of PO'd too.
I'd be pretty PO'd as well. Like we've talked about it. I understand. I like the move. I understand the move, but I understand the frustration and that, because it's almost like they're just pushing like don't say animation doesn't matter when it comes to this. I mean,
right.
Disney's riding the coattails of Spider-Man with I think over $1 billion, that wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
And then the other big thing, and there's multiple things. So there's multiple Marvel news. I will start with the one that doesn't really deal with Disney Plus. Reportedly, two fan YouTube service people said that yesterday there was the first new test screening of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and supposedly the reviews were glowing. Supposedly
I heard it was
incredible
awesome.
reviews. Much better than the first viewing, is what I heard.
And I heard not everything was shown for spoiler reasons. Which is awesome. I love that.
And a lot of people that reported on that didn't actually say anything. They just said, supposedly it's really good. Because you do not want to... I mean, there's that whole discourse right now where the stunt double for Icarus, his sister spoiled to everyone that he's going back into Marvel. So we might be getting Icarus sooner rather than later. And I'm like, Kevin Feige will be knocking down your door. Like, that is a way to never work for Disney again by spoiling something for Kevin Feige, mainly because you'll be 6 feet under. That's mainly, there you go. His shirt, if you watch this. Okay, and this is the last thing that'll ricochet in. I believe this is the last news stuff we have for today. Early reports showed that we were supposed to get a Moon Knight trailer last week with a February release. That is no longer correct, reportedly, as it has been said that Moon Knight will premiere on March 30th with a trailer during the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and that would make sense because I mean, I believe we got a Disney Plus Super Bowl trailer a couple years ago too, and it seems like they're using the Super Bowl to push these big projects, which was interesting because Moon Knight isn't probably at the forefront of people's minds, like non-Marvel people's minds.
But Oscar Isaac is. But Oscar Isaac is at the front of people's minds.
Exactly, he is, and that's where I'm excited for it.
And I am excited for that. And from that, once those floodgates opened, it ushered in, then it said, so Miss Marvel will not be the show after Moon Knight. It is going to go Moon Knight in end of March, She-Hulk supposedly in May, and then Miss Marvel in July.
I like that. That's fine.
Pretty solid. Boom,
July
boom,
is
boom.
weird for me though, because of Thor. That's the only thing. And I guess May is weird because of Doctor Strange.
But we now no confirmation as to why the Marvels got pushed back, or Miss Marvel got pushed back so much, because they did not expect extreme reshoots for Miss Marvel. However, they shipped, I forget her name, right from the set of Miss Marvel to the Marvels. And once the Marvels started, Disney does still care more about their theatrical releases than their Disney Plus shows. So they said, oh, we'll just push Miss Marvel back, but we still need to have her debut before the movie. And now it's just closer. Yeah. So it's a July release with a November movie release.
I believe November.
So it's actually a pretty good... it makes a lot of sense, because you don't want to be like, hey, look at this cool new character that's really popular in the past decade. Cool, now ignore her for the next year until the Marvels come out. So I think this will be a good little double whammy, especially if Miss Marvel goes right into the Marvels. It can show really
that's true. I'm excited about all things Marvel.
What about all things Star Wars? No, I'm just kidding.
Turn my mood sour, Cliff?
Yes, that's what I'm going
Obi-Wan's
for.
going to come out. It's going to be... Can you imagine if Obi-Wan stinks like this? Oh.
I don't think stinks is the right word. For you, it does. That's your buzzword. Stinks if like you were to do that
Try not
in
to
like
swear on this
in like
podcast.
Futurama, they do the thing where it's like Bender's most said phrases, and number one is "bite my shiny metal ass." And if yours was your number one word out of all of them would be stinks. Something blank stinks. That would be
It would
your
be yes.
word.
Also, DEAD, dead would also be one of mine.
Yes. So we're gonna jump into it.
Let's do
Book of Boba Fett, Episode 3, The Streets of Mos Espa. I am going to switch it up for time to just do the top 5. Or top 4 and bottom one. Is the way I'm gonna approach that. I just want to start because I don't want to really cover this, but I want to say it just to have it there because this is going to be important going forward because we know what's coming from it. We have learned that from the downfall of Jabba the Hutt, as we are in Jabba's throne room, or now Boba Fett's throne room, that when Jabba the Hutt fell, Mos Espa fell to 3 crime families. The Trandoshan family took over the city center, the Aqualish took over the workers' quarters and area, and the Klatooinians took over the spaceport. We know Boba Fett has this dinner with all of them coming up, probably to like Godfather style, bring together the family. I just wanted to talk about this. You gotta get it. Think of the family. I just wanted to discuss this really briefly because I want to talk about it because people won't be like, you didn't talk about it, because it's going to be important going forward.
Sure,
but it's not important in this set episode. Do you like who they picked for it? Does it make sense to you?
Yeah, I mean, if the Trandoshans don't give me Bosk, then what are we doing here at this point?
That's the thing. That is one of the things, unless Bosk is dead, which is fine also. But they have to mention it, but because like Bosk was literally like worked with Boba Fett since he was a child, a literal child.
Right.
Aqualish have always been around. They were introduced in A New Hope, I believe, on Tatooine. I couldn't put my mind up, and I forgot to actually look at what Klatooinians are. I don't know why.
They sound like something from Solo.
Let's quickly look at it. Klatooinian. It's actually they look at that. Oh, okay.
They're
like dog people. They're the
yeah.
Okay, cool.
From 6. Okay, yeah.
So we have a bounty,
right?
And Mandalorian. They're the ones.
Oh, that's the people that wrecked that swamp area. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So we're going to jump into that. I just wanted to discuss that. Anything else to add on the 3 crime families?
I like multiple crime families. I like drama between crime families. So that will be exciting. I'm actually excited for that.
Good. I'm glad you're excited for something here. So as we go into it, the first actual thing to talk about is water. Who would have guessed on a desert planet, water would be a very important thing? It introduces a character named Lortha Peel, who is a watermonger who has all this water and tells Boba Fett that these troubled youths, this street gang, stole his water without paying, blah, blah, blah. Did you know who the actor was?
No, I didn't at first.
Stephen Root is hilarious. Have you ever seen Dodgeball?
Yes.
He's the one, you got to get angry, you got to get mean, and he puts his guts. He's in so many things. I
realized it after. I just didn't realize it in the moment.
Okay, I noticed it right away because he is now in everything. His most famous thing, Dodgeball, is a good thing to know him by, but his most famous thing is Office Space. He's Milton with his stapler, so people were making jokes about that. So Stephen Root tells Boba Fett if he does this, he will pledge his allegiance to him. He'll give him more money for it. So Boba Fett goes and deals with it, and I just think of the Steve Buscemi meme, that "How do you do, fellow youths?" As he walks up to this young gang of teenagers, of young adults that have modified their bodies. So they have robotic implants on their bodies. They just outwardly admit that they stole this water, but in the process talk about how he was charging, I think, 1,500 credits for it. So he's extremely overvaluing water. And Boba Fett's just not having it. And he says, you know what, I'll forgive this if you come work for me. And Lortha gets very upset about this as he was waiting for the gotcha moment. And Boba Fett says, we'll pay you what it's actually worth, not what you're charging for it. Sounds like this is going to turn into something else down the line. But we get to meet our first group that we saw originally in the trailer. What was your first impression of the water shortage and this biker gang?
Well, first I want to go off a
Biker
tweet
in
I
air
saw.
quotes.
I wish I had the tweet, but I love that somebody was like, "Oh, these kids can afford bikes and new body parts, but they can't afford their freaking water." I thought that was very funny. I think the woman one looks awesome. The other ones look, yeah. There's like one that looks like a dollar store cyborg, and like
Yeah, that
it does not look very good. Like I feel bad saying that, but it doesn't look good. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, this doesn't look like Star Wars. I think those people are crazy. I agree it doesn't look like Tatooine, but I don't think it doesn't look like Star Wars, like their bikes and like stuff like that. I feel it's very Star Wars, it's just not very Tatooine.
that's what
I'm
I
okay
said.
with. Yeah, I'm okay with the colorful bikes. I'm okay with that, whatever. I'm okay with it. But they just looked weird, and I don't. This episode did nothing for me to build any sort of connection where I wanted to connect with these characters. And that's something that's, I think, Mandalorian and Boba Fett has done really well so far, is I've cared about characters that I never knew existed within 0.5 seconds. Look at the Sand People. Within the first episode, I was in love with the Sand People. They did nothing for me to give a care or reason to the only characteristic they have is they're a youth gang. They have colorful bikes and they upgrade their body parts with robot parts. I don't care about them, and that's not to say I won't in the future. It's just like Star Wars has done a good job at making me care about somebody within one episode, and I just could care less about these characters right now. I don't care what happens to them. I don't care about their backstories. I would love to get their backstories, and maybe I will care about them one day. But right now, I could care less.
Go Power Rangers. I will say the one your discount cyborg is played by Jordan Bolger, who I have not watched. I know a few friends that have. It's mainly a British show, Peaky Blinders. He was in a bunch of episodes of that show.
I'm sure he's a great actor. He just looked like a dollar store like cyborg with that eyepiece. Just looks so fake, and I know it's fake. I know it's Star Wars. I know it's fake. I'm not an idiot. But the piece looked very like it looked like you know how there's like Justice League, like, and then there's like the new one. He looks like Cyborg in the first iteration of Justice League, not the new Snyder Cut one.
Okay, I've not watched the Snyder Cut.
Actually, no, I'm lying. He doesn't look like that. He looks like the Cyborg in Doom Patrol, like the robotics piece. It's
okay.
I don't know. It just doesn't look good. Whatever, it's fine. I'll get over it.
You're fine, yeah. So Boba Fett takes them in, and from this, though, the second point, as you have anything else to add, we'll talk about our little Vespa gang later.
I just don't care about them, and I want to care about them, but I don't.
So we have our next...
Is that fair?
That's fair. I'll give you that. That's fair.
Okay.
But then we go into the second thing. I'm going in chronological order, but just major points where we have another flashback, and I think it might be the last Tuscan Raider flashback for a little, because
and that makes me sad.
So, and we'll talk about this, because you and I have the same theory with it. I mean, it's a widely accepted theory on television and movies, but Boba Fett goes to, was it Mos Espa, to discuss with the Pikes, saying, we are now your security through the desert. And they go back and forth talking about how, no, we pay this gang. If you get rid of the gang, we will pay you then. And Boba says, perfect. And goes back to his village to find a massacre had occurred. All the Tuscans, DEAD, dead. And Boba Fett this was, I think, the best acting of the show so far. Where Tamora Morrison does such a good job with portraying the sadness as he burns, as he does the right and burns the entire village, including putting the child's mini gaffy stick in the fire. But we only confirmed deaths we saw was the chief.
Yeah, and I love this scene. And when I say I love it, it was good. It made me care. It was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking to see Boba Fett do this, but it was awesome to see him carry out the Tuscan Raider ritual of death, so the burning of the bodies kind of thing. I do want to jump back to the meeting with the Pike. I didn't really care about it last week, but then you got in my head, Cliff, they look so bad without their helmets. They should keep their helmet on all the time because they look so much cooler with the helmet.
They look bad. I mean, even in animation, they don't look great with the helmets off. But they look. Someone said it really well. They look very like toyish. Like all the aliens look kind of toyish in this show. I'm not gonna complain about that. Look back to all.
No, it's not like a really complaint. It's just I like them better with the helmets. They look more like
right.
That's the character I'm scared of, as opposed to this like creature. Like I don't have a reason to fear that Pike. But like when they had the helmets and I think they had the dogs in Solo and stuff like that. That's when I was like, oh boy, these like you do not want to mess with the Pikes.
Yes, exactly. I still think you don't want to mess with the.
But I think my favorite part of Cliff. My favorite part about the show has been all the flashback scenes. I really wish this first season. I know Book of Boba Fett, or excuse me, Mandalorian season 2. You end it with Boba Fett on the throne. I think it would have been interesting to explore just Boba Fett out of the Sarlacc, and then season 2 be the current day stuff that's happening.
I don't think we're gonna get it. I think this is a one-off show.
Oh, I think so too, but I'm saying in my ideal world, I think I would like that. I love everything with the Tuscan Raiders and him becoming a part of the clan, and him enveloping himself in that culture, because I think it's fascinating, because the only thing we knew about Tuscan Raiders is they're dangerous. They have those Goffy sticks in episode 4, and now they're like real characters again that I cared about after one episode, unlike the Street Gang. And they're able to do that without speaking basic or anything like that, whereas the Street Gang can speak basic in this show. They're using their body language, they're using their emotions, they're using the ASL. I love the Tuscan Raiders, so it's sad now that we have them gone because they're past, but it helps move Boba Fett's story to where he's now further, which I liked that part of the episode.
So two things then remain. Two things remain on this. Who do you think killed this group? Who do you think killed the Tuscans?
Oh, I think the Pikes did.
I think the Pikes had someone do it.
Yeah, the Pikes were like, they either did it themselves or they paid somebody. They were like, no, we're not paying this tariff to cross the Dune Sea.
I mainly think it was, the person that actually has them be dangerous is away. Let's take away his source. That's how I saw it.
Sure.
Right. And the second thing is, did any of them survive?
I really hope like one of them, like the kid, you see them put the stick up there. It'd be cool if he got to escape, and if the female one got to escape.
So that's my thing. So that we talk about this, they're not dead until you see a body. We did not see the female Tuscan warrior's body. However, when we talk about the kid, we didn't see the kid's body, but we saw his little gaffy stick. There's another unwritten rule where you don't really show child deaths on TV.
Correct.
Either.
You do not show
so that, to me, might be the confirmation. But if the female warrior is still alive, I think that would still be good. That would be something. But that's... I want it to be both, but I think it's probably just the warrior.
It's like one of those things, like if an airlock opens up and you don't see a dead Wookiee body, he's still alive, you know? You get that.
Oh, yeah.
You get that.
Perfect.
Okay, yeah.
So, anything else to add on this?
I need to throw that in. I love that
important flashback.
No, it was great. It was well done.
So, going into it, something else that Cam said stunk in this, as Boba Fett is reminiscing about some of the darkest days of his recent memory, he gets absolutely ripped from his back-to-tank by Black Chrysanthemum. And a fight scene occurs where Boba Fett absolutely gets whooped by this giant, horrifying Wookiee. And I will have you talk about this because you can speak to him more. You can speak on him more because you have read his comics. I was reading the Reddit and it was cracking me up because people were like, wouldn't you think, I'm going to just refer to him as BK would take the attempt just to assassinate someone in their sleep, and they're like, you don't expect a gladiator Wookiee to want you to know he's killing you before you die. I'm like, he absolutely is the type of crazy Wookiee that wants you to know he's killing you. And that is why. I liked it, and we will talk about this because you have not enjoyed the fight scenes. Luckily, Boba Fett gets bailed out by his misfit gang. The Gamorreans do their best, but one of them gets damaged, but not dead because they put the Gamorrean in the back of the tank. And finally, Fennec, being the resourceful one, opens the Rancor pit and falls down. I also noticed the Rancor button is a Rancor head. I did notice that on
Yes,
a rewatch,
very
which
cool.
I thought
Yeah,
was really cool.
yeah,
So
yes,
they beat BK on a technicality.
yes.
So you now can talk about how much
I,
this stinks.
no, this it's weird. I freaked out when the brass knuckles came out because I was waiting for that last week, and obviously last week we weren't really going to get it because it was just an introduction. There was no fight. So as soon as the fight started happening, I was like, "Where are the brass knuckles? I need that," and we got them, and that was great. I thought this fight scene looked weird, like filming wise. And it's interesting because I thought the same. I think I mentioned it when we talked in episode 1 when we did our review. It was like the fight scene between Fennec Shand and Boba Fett and the Gamorreans in that. What are they called? The Night something?
Yeah,
What are
whatever
those
they
people?
are, I don't care.
They seem very important, not important. I even said I was like, it felt weird. It felt slow. Something was off about the fight scene, and the same thing happened today or in this past episode. And it was fine. It had some cool moments, but it was just weird. Like I hated when Boba Fett. I loved everything with Boba Fett and BK. Like that was great. I hated the BK like in the middle of like the ruffians, and like they were just circling. Like one of them was like pointing that like slim gun, and one of them was spinning that thing, and it just looked so weird. It looked something was off, and I don't know how else to describe it. But I know I'm not crazy because I've seen other people saying the same thing, that something just seemed off with it, and I just didn't like it, kind of thing. Also, how the heck did this Wookiee get past in here?
I actually have a theory on that. I truly do. We know Jabba's palace is huge, and they have
Sure.
a skeleton crew working. That to me, I can suspend reality for a few seconds to be like, okay, when he wants to be sneaky, he could be, but he absolutely people have been saying, I have not read the comics with him in it. I know they're the Dr. Aphra ones, but supposedly he has beef with Boba Fett. He would
Yes.
totally sneak in and then want Boba Fett to know he killed him.
I believe you can get him to sneak in. I believe he can sneak into the palace. I don't know how you let him into that room. That's where I'm like the Gamorreans should have been dead. Like that's how he should have got in. It was like I killed these Gamorreans, and that's how he snuck in here to attack.
Oh, I am rooting for those Gamorreans. I am rooting. They have
no, I am too. But like, if you're gonna have Black Chrysanthemum come into Boba Fett, like the main crime boss, like somebody has to be dead to trying to have stopped him, kind of thing. Like that was weird to me.
Yeah,
it was fine. It was fine.
The only other thing I'll touch on, I think he looks incredible. I think
he looks great. The knuckles were awesome. I was pumped with BK.
Everyone, this is the complaint. The Boba Fett, they're making Boba Fett look weak. Yes. And I think I have figured out why. Because we know Rodriguez is like the biggest like blood, like crazy fight scene. We know that from his episode of The Mandalorian. But there's one thing that keeps getting missed whenever Boba Fett has a fight scene. He needs his full arsenal. He needs to be fighting. He is not someone that fights sword to sword. Yes, he has that from the gaffy sticks, but he has not had his gaffy stick on him. So he doesn't actually have his hand-to-hand combat weapon that he's trained in. He is mainly a blaster and resource fighter. He didn't have his gun.
Well, in this episode, he had the gaffy stick.
He didn't have his gun in the first fight, so he automatically doesn't have that. And he doesn't have his gaffy stick in the first fight either. So he has neither of those because he was trying to be like, look, I'm in charge now. I don't need to show weaponry. And then the next time he has his gun, it was mainly just a Western standoff between the huts. And then this one, he gets surprise attacked in a back to tank where technically he's supposed to be guarded. So he didn't have any of his important... It is gearing up for a very badass fight scene. He needs to have a thing. And the Pikes, we know the Pikes fight with guns. They are a blaster.
Right.
He needs to be fighting. That's the thing. Boba Fett would always, he's also no longer trying to be a bounty hunter. So
yeah, but I think you still retain that badassery.
Yes, but
he looked like an absolute badass in Mandalorian fighting stuff.
But also, then it's the whole thing. He was fighting stormtroopers, where then we go back and forth with the stormtrooper theory that they suck.
Whatever, I don't care.
I'm just saying. But he is fighting people with blasters that are not going to come up and whack him. But then he could also do it's. I think it's because he has never actually had his full arsenal on him in any of these fights. I know some people would be like, that's a lazy excuse, and I'm like, but he's not a hand-to-hand fighter. Why would a human? I'm not even going to call him a clone, but why would a human male in whatever the galaxy is Wookiees can fight hand to hand. Absolutely. A Wookiee can. I wish BK ripped someone's arms out of his sockets. Why would a human fighter fight hand to hand combat? Why?
I am rooting for the fight scenes to get better. I just thought one looked weird, and episode one's fight scene looked weird, and I thought this looked weird. I feel bad saying it stunk because I don't think it stunk, but it looked, something was off, and we just got such a good fight scene in episode. We got everything in episode. We got a good chase in episode 2. We got a good fight scene in episode 2. And something is weird between 1, 2, and 3. Something's off, and I don't know what it is, and I don't like it.
Okay, I get it, and I still have actually not rewatched the 3rd episode because I'm dreading the fifth thing we're going to talk about. So the 4A, or 4 in this case, the Hutt twins are back.
Enjoyed this,
and they tell Boba Fett that we're sorry we sent a Wookiee to kill you. We've actually both been betrayed by the mayor who was working, and I'm not even going to go over. Oh yeah, I'll say that. We know that the Pikes want Tatooine for themselves. There must be something spice related. And the Hutts say, we do not, we don't want this as bad anymore because we don't feel like starting a war with the Pikes because war is bad for business. And it really, in the long run, Tatooine's not worth it. And I agree with that. I think the Hutts are somewhat truthful on that point because there is stuff where Jabba was like, he didn't really want to be on Tatooine, but that's where he was set. So he was just kind of stuck there. So for their gift, they gift him a semi-adolescent Rancor and Danny Trejo.
Yes.
That I was
enjoyed this.
Danny Trejo, they accept it, and then they let BK go, and BK just runs off into the desert, and people are like, why didn't they offer him a job? And I'm like, he just tried to kill him.
Yeah.
And they also seem
I kind of like that, though. You know, like, hey, listen, buddy, we're both bounty hunter. We got this. Like, I got you. You're just doing your job. Like, go off. I think BK's going to come back, though. I don't think he's not going
to come back. We know he is a, disgraced Wookiee. In Wookiee culture, if someone saves your life, you owe them a life debt. Will a disgraced Wookiee actually follow that? Probably not, but he might come back.
I don't think so, because they captured him.
But he could have killed him.
They captured him in this.
But the Hutts literally said, oh, cut off his head. Sell him back into slavery. They literally were like, either kill him or sell him as a slave, and Boba Fett just sets him free.
No, and I agree. I think there's a chance at a life debt. I just don't know because it's like, they did capture him kind of thing, and they got in this big fight. So I don't know if there'll be a life debt. It'll be cool because if this happens more, I want more BK because I think he's the best part about the show so far.
I think we're going to see him again. I will say that. So then we have this whole...
he's not the best part. The Tuscan Raiders were the best part. Sorry about that. But...
And we have this whole scene where Danny Trejo is telling him about the Rancor. You find out that Rancor's imprint on the first person they see, which becomes Boba Fett. And Boba Fett really seems to bond with the Rancor, saying that he wants to learn how to ride the Rancor. And Danny Trejo saying it's very hard. And Boba Fett makes a Life Day mention where he says, I've ridden beasts 10 times this size. I thought that was funny.
To that dinosaur.
Yep. And finally, they're going back into town to confront the mayor, and then we find out. Did you see it as malicious? The way Danny Trejo was like, "Don't worry, he'll be back." I
thought it was cute. I was like, "Oh, it's okay, little baby. Like, Daddy's gonna be back soon. Don't worry." I like this. I like that.
If this is setting up to be a betrayal.
I don't think so. I like the idea, though, of Boba Fett riding on a Rancor like our little hero Omega did back in Bad Batch. I think that would be cool if you got Boba Fett in a fight scene where he's just like plowing through some pikes on a Rancor. That's going to be pretty freaking cool to see.
I agree, and if anything, I could see Danny Trejo's character being a gotcha, but the Rancor takes to Boba Fett so well. Danny Trejo gets eaten by the Rancor. I think the Rancor will stay on Boba Fett's side. That's my...
Yeah, I think so.
I do wish it was Moochie, though.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
So the last thing, they go into town. Ugh. They confront the mayor's Majadamo, I believe.
Majadamo.
And he runs away, and it leads in to a chase scene between him and our ruffian gang on their Vespas going 3 miles per hour. I could have walked faster than this.
What do you think
than
How
this.
much of the budget do you think went into this scene, and why is it $5?
You think it's that much?
$2. That was the worst. Can I go into? You go. I'll go after.
The
You
fight
go.
scene, it's just the chase scene just goes for everything. They drive through a piece of original Star Wars art of Jabba, of Ralph.
That was
McQuarrie
funny.
art. That was funny, but oh my god! And it ends with the mayor's assistant crashing into a fruit stand and him saying the mayor is working for. He's gone. He's working for the Pikes. Oh, this is the one thing.
It was legitimately. If this was 1983,
would have been the best
which was when Return of the Jedi came out, that fight scene or that chase scene would have been revolutionary. It's 2022. Your fight scene cannot look like the speeder scene in Return of the Jedi. It just can't. It looked like absolute crap. I know people are making the joke about the Power Rangers. It looked like the same amount of budget that a Power Rangers show on Disney XD had for a chase scene. It looked clunky. It was so slow. It was terrible. It literally killed this whole episode for me. I don't think it's gonna kill the show for me, but they have to show me if episode 4 stinks, I will keep watching the show, but it's a failure on my part because you cannot be Star Wars, you cannot be Lucasfilm, you cannot be Disney, and in 2022 have a fight scene look this crappy when you just had an awesome train chase scene in episode 2. It's night and day between episode 2, which again I'd put up with anything else I've seen in Star Wars in the Disney era, and sometimes even Disney altogether. I love that episode in Star 2. You can't go from that to this kind of fight scene to this kind of the chase scene. It's actually I know I'm sounding overdrawn. It's disgusting that they were we're looking at this when we're editing and we're yeah, this is good enough to put out. That's weird to me, and that's what I don't like, because as I know Star Wars is fake. I'm not an idiot. I know they're not really on hover bikes. I know that's not a real guy with tails on his head.
I thought it's in a galaxy far, far away.
But you need to make it look you have to help me suspend my disbelief, and that's something Star Wars does over and over and over again. And then it was taking me so I was oh my god, this is the fakest filming. I don't want to feel like I'm watching a film. I want to feel like I'm in the universe, and this did none of that for me. I thought it was terrible. Terrible.
So then my question, this is what we're going to end on. This is the final question of it, because I agree. I'm not going to add anything. I'm not going to kick a dead horse, whatever the phrase is. Who do you blame? Do you blame? I have seen
everyone.
The blame be thrown to Robert Rodriguez. That's been the most common one, and then people obviously bring in the old his old films. But the thing is, the same people that have been loving The Mandalorian and praising and kissing the ground Jon Favreau walks on. He's the writer. He is writing every single one of these episodes. Robert Rodriguez is the showrunner, but Favreau's the writer. So or we're just going to do what people always love to do. It's Kathleen Kennedy's fault.
You know what? I take back what I said. I said everyone you blame. I don't like blaming people, because with that, this is what their vision was. And if they like their vision, great. I just think it's crazy that that's what they put out there after episode 2. So I don't know if anybody's to blame, but it was an odd choice after how good the train scene looked in episode 2, that this is what you put out there in the world. And like I said, that's somebody's artistic vision, that's their art, and I respect that. But I also think I'm allowed to have an opinion and say, okay, that's great that you like that, you thought that was good enough to put out there, but it's my opinion that I thought that looked terrible. And if I had 2%, if I had any of the skill of that they do editing wise, graphics, which I don't, so I can't speak to that because I'm an idiot. I'm incapable of doing that. But if I had their skill level to do this, that would not have been what I would have put out to the world. And that's my opinion. But that's what they put out to the world, and that's their art, and that's what it is for. But that's for us to be it's art. We're able to critique it and say, hey, we didn't like this kind of thing. I thought it stunk, and that's okay, I think.
I think that's okay. And I mainly want to address the people saying how I'm not going to throw any blame at anyone yet. yet. And I think one lazy argument is, oh, well, you just need to watch it when it ends. Just watch it all in order when it ends. That's a lazy take.
I agree.
I was throwing spoilers on Twitter. I think 3 hours after I watched it, because I just wasn't even thinking. I'm like, oh, that's funny. People are already tweeting it, because the people I follow, a lot of people I follow, have already watched it. So I'm like, oh, that's funny. I'm just gonna retweet it. And I'm thinking, I'm like, Cam hasn't even watched this. If Cam logs onto Twitter right now, he's absolutely going to get all of this episode of Book of
And I
Boba Fett
didn't. So I went
for him.
I went almost completely blind to anything. The only thing I saw was like the picture. It was Boba Fett and Fennec, and then the motorcycle or the hover bikes behind them. That's all I saw. I saw none of the hate about this. So all that hate I had was like genuine. And I was like, so like immediately when I went to Twitter, I was like, am I alone in this? And then when I saw everybody else was like on the same page, I was like, oh, for once I'm like not the crazy person in this situation. But I think like I don't. So I disagree with your take there, Cliff. I don't think it's a lazy argument to say like you need to watch for the rest of it to come out. I don't think it's a lazy take story wise. But this. Start. Maybe, but I don't think it's a lazy argument. I think that is like a genuine thing. Like, okay, you don't like where the story is right now, so you have to let it go. But I think it's a lazy argument when people are complaining about the visual effects. Like the story doesn't matter. What happens later doesn't matter. The visual effects, in most people, and not most, in my opinion, and other people's opinions, looked like crap. So the story, what happens after that, doesn't matter. It doesn't.
Correct, and that's the thing where I am gonna cut. This episode is actually directed. The first Robert Rodriguez directed the first episode and the third episode, so he doesn't have a great slate going right now. But his episode of The Mandalorian was very good. His first introduction to Boba Fett was a very cool way of showing Boba Fett back, especially with the camera angles. They made the fight scene look extremely fast, but why couldn't he make this chase scene look fast? So there's all these things.
And I thought episode 1 was good. I just thought the fight scene looked weird, but like this is like parts of this episode were good. Again, the flashback was good. It's just that the chase really ruined everything else in this episode for me, and I thought it was just bad. Like sorry, go ahead.
Honestly, my only real comment though on this biker gang, I'm fine with them.
Yes, I am too.
But they don't fit Tatooine. They fit Coruscant. And that could be a thing. What if they're a group of people that left their home world, and that's why they look like this? But also it's like, why are their Vespas so shiny? They're literally in a sand planet where the wind is whipping sand. And these things, there's so many just small little details. And I was not one of them. People, I guess, were complaining that the past 2 episodes were too muted color-wise, and then now you're complaining it's too colorful. Star Wars was made like a lot of the original concepts George put in as like, oh, look at this is like my friend's cool 1950s bright blue car. Like that's common. Like the Vespas fit. I just didn't think they fit on Tatooine.
And I kind of like that they didn't fit on Tatooine. Yeah. I thought that was actually an interesting thing.
It's the speed of the chase. That was, if they sped up the chase, it would have been fine.
My only issues with the biker gang is. So again, I agree with people that say they don't. I disagree with people that say they don't fit in Star Wars. They absolutely fit in Star Wars. I agree with people that say they don't fit in Tatooine, but I don't think that's a bad thing. My issue with them is the chase scene sucked, and I don't care about them. I want to care about them. That's my issue. I want to care about them, and right now I don't have a reason to give 2 cares in the world about them. I'm hoping that changes. I want character development from these characters, and I know that's hard to do when you have 4 of them, kind of thing. But I think like the female one is going to be the main lead one, and
she was introduced as it's supposed to be an important character in this.
And you have to have at least a little character development, maybe not in the whole gang, but at least in her kind of thing. Like all we know about them is they got water prices jacked up, and then they don't have jobs. So Boba Fett's, I'm gonna offer you a job, and I love that concept. I think that's great. But make me care about these characters, because right now I don't care about them at all. So again, I agree. But I also disagree with people. So I think I think it's crazy for people to say like, oh, it's stupid of people to hate these characters when they're very Star Wars-y and like they're posting pictures of examples. But I think there's room for criticism if it's valid. And I think my criticism like makes sense in my head at least. But I don't know. That's just me.
Yes, and I will add, there's one last thing. we've seen more character development in the Tuscans and the Gamorrean guards, who both don't speak. One speaks Tuscan and one speaks Pig. We've seen more character development in them. It was only one episode. It was a short episode, so we'll wait and see.
Yes. I'm not giving up on them. I want them to be good.
But I will end it there because we can go into the dark hole of where we don't want to go for it.
Real quickly.
Yes.
This is how you know I don't care about them. I didn't immediately text you like, I need their Funko Pops. That's when you know I don't care about the character.
What about their Lego set?
No, I don't want
the trot
no,
through
please no. I'll buy it when it's on the $5 Target bin.
So Chapter 4 releases next Wednesday. We're in for a little bit of a treat. Director will be Bryce Dallas Howard. She's coming back.
Very excited for that.
I am curious if it will either take place, be heavily influenced. I mean, if it's a Rancor episode, you can easily do a Jurassic World thing, because we know she likes to pull in her old work from it. Or will she paying homage to her dad's work, because she also did that in some of the Mandalorian episodes.
Can we ask a quick question?
Go ahead.
I am too. Can we ask a quick prediction? What character shows up in this episode?
Kira is going to show up at the end of it. I'm
going to go back with my tried and true. Cad Bane's going to show up in this.
Okay.
No, but in reality, I think this episode's going to be Bosk. I think this is going to do the family dinner table thing, and I think we're going to get Bosk in this episode, Cad Bane in the next one, and then Kira in episode 6. So we have Kira for 6 and 7. That's my prediction.
Okay, and I'm see, that's the thing though. Episode 6 is being written, and I don't know if directed, by Dave Filoni, so that would make more sense for maybe Omega comes in the 6th episode. We'll talk about this later.
I guess Kira would actually make sense for this episode because of the Pikes, like you said, her dad. And her dad, though, like that would actually make sense.
Oh, that is true. That is true. If you look at
I thought that's what you meant. No, that would actually make a lot of sense. That would be very cool if Kira's.
That would actually be interesting.
I'm back on Boba Fett train.
Okay. So to wrap it up,
that's the most critical I've been in Star Wars.
I know. I'm shocked. Cam, where can they find you and the podcast on Twitter? Or
you can find me at Cam. You can find me on Twitter at CamRamos95. You can find the podcast on Twitter at Stream the Mouse. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Streaming with the Mouse. You can also find us on our YouTube channel. Just be sure to type in Streaming with the Mouse podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcasts. Doing the same thing, searching for Streaming with the Mouse podcast. Please make sure to like, rate, review, subscribe, 5 stars, all the above, to make sure that we can get as many ears and eyes on our podcast as possible. We'd really appreciate it. And we'd love to connect with you and talk Star Wars, Marvel, Disney, everything Disney Plus under the sun. And Cliff, where can they find you?
You can find me at CP Robinson81. And for Cam Ramos, my name is Cliff Paul Robinson. Have a magical day, everyone.
May the Force be with us for episode 4. My goodness.